Good afternoon, everyone. Live from Silicon Valley, California. This is Spiritual Fitness with your host, Vaisheshika Prabhu, a veteran Bhakti yogi, former monk, and author, and myself, JM. Spiritual Fitness is dedicated to exploring the timeless texts and practices of Bhakti Yoga that can be applied in your daily life. We have more than 20 people on Zoom and close to 50 people on Facebook. Good afternoon, Vaisheshika Prabhu. Welcome. I think your mic is muted. We are talking behind the mic, muted mic.
Good afternoon.
My voice has been detained. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And feel free, if you like, to keep your video on if you want to. We don't mind seeing you. It makes more of a, there's more reciprocity being able to see you. And feel free too, if you're doing other things or, just a little reticent about being seen, then it's okay also. But I do like it and don't mind it. Or in reverse order. So welcome back, everybody, to Spiritual Fitness. It's work to stay fit, and the ancient yogic teachings say that to stay spiritually fit requires some thought and developing a practice called sadhana. Sadhana means that you have a goal in mind, which is called the sadhya. And when we perform that practice every day, we feel encouragement because we're moving towards a worthy goal. In fact, in most circles, when people analyze what makes a human being happy, it's not necessarily being surrounded by facility, but it's having the ability to take advantage of that facility. For instance, if someone gives you a lot of money, if you don't have an idea what to do with it, it just causes you anxiety. Many studies have been done about this, people winning the lottery, and because they don't have any momentum towards a particular goal, when they get the money and they don't know what to do with it, they kind of waste it and it feels like a great burden. So things aren't really useful to us in this world unless we ourselves have a clear idea of where we're going and that we're convinced that it's a good place that we're going. And so spiritual fitness is really about first identifying what that is, what that worthy goal is, and then finding out of what some of the practices are that take us step by step towards that goal. In fact, I've always felt that no matter how far I am away from a goal, if I'm convinced that I'm taking the right steps towards it, I'm not in a lot of anxiety. In fact, I feel encouraged because I know that I'm going in the right direction and I have something to do that is worthwhile. I'm not wasting my time. However, even with the best intentions and moving forward in a certain direction, there may be times at which I feel detained. In fact, this has become a mantra I've heard all over America these days. Am I being detained? Sometimes people produce these videos where they're pulled over by the police and then they ask, am I being detained? Am I being detained? Am I being detained? And this is a question that's asked in the ancient texts that teach yoga practice, to ask yourself, am I being detained? And what about me is being detained? And the answer generally is yes. My awareness is being detained in various places. And because of detained awareness, I'm not reaching my full potential. And also, this is the cause of anxiety, is having a detained awareness. Let's first start off by, well, we already started, so let's go next, to just taking a few moments to center our awareness and look inside and just notice the movements of the mind. So we could just sit up an inch straighter than we were a second before, and you can close your eyes and then concentrate on your breath, your old friend who's always there maintaining every cell in your body. This breathing process really isn't that we're breathing, it's that we are being breathed. We're kind of on a breathing machine, because if you try to stop breathing, then you won't be very successful. You'll gasp and you'll start breathing again. because someone wants you to stay alive for a while. So think about that. Close your eyes and concentrate on the miracle of breath. How is it that air is sustaining, this oxygen is going in? When you inhale and you're breathing out all kinds of unnecessary things back into the environment, when you exhale, it happens automatically thousands and thousands of times a day, but now we're becoming aware of it for a moment. And let your awareness keep coming back to your breath. And let your mind calm down. And let go of any endeavors of the mind. The mind wants to work hard to find solutions. But don't worry about it right now. Don't be a human doing, be a human being. And just be satisfied with the fact that you exist. And notice that you exist. And breathe. And bring your mind back to your breath. And keep your awareness there all the way in on the inhale. And bring your awareness back to your breath all the way out on the exhale. And relax and breathe and let go of any thoughts and breathe. And now to synchronize all of our energies into one place, can vibrate together the syllable Om, which is a seed mantra. Same resonance of Om is there within the heart chakra. And when you verbalize this mantra, it helps to resonate with the heart chakra, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, ancient yogic literature on bhakti. And on your next inhale, we're going to exhale with the syllable Om. You can follow with me. Two more times. And bring your awareness back to your breath. And just notice for a minute the flow of your consciousness. Observe it and see where your awareness is going. You can watch it, see where your mind tends to go, and notice that you're the one witnessing the directions that the mind is going. Just note which way it goes. You can watch it. And now let's take a second to scan the body and notice that you can move your awareness to different parts of your body. You're not your body. The body's like a car, and you can look under the hood. So for a moment, be aware of your heart beating and bring your conscious awareness to your heart center and notice how your heart is beating. It's pumping. Now bring your awareness to your old friends, your hands. They're always serving you all day long, picking up things for you, putting things in your mouth, moving things around, writing for you. They're your servants. They're not you, but they're part of your body. And now bring your awareness to your old friends, your feet. They move you from one place to the next. They allow you to stand up. And bring your awareness to your ears. And just notice what a miracle it is to bring in sound into your consciousness. And bring your awareness back to your breath. And just notice that you have a choice of where to place your awareness. You are awareness, and you can point your awareness wherever you decide, and that will make all the difference. Because where attention goes, energy flows. Now you can rub your hands together, create some friction. Open your eyes, come back into the Zoom room. And I want to talk about detained awareness for a moment. And the reason that this phrase is relevant is because there's a way in which the Yoga Sutras, the Bhagavad Gita, the other books that describe consciousness, define what it is, say that consciousness is in its original state free. It's not detained. Just like water is fluid, it can move anywhere and go around, under, through. But when it's frozen, it remains in a temporary state of solidity. So consciousness is originally free also. It can move about in various places, but it can become detained or frozen in a certain place. And the process of meditation, the process of yoga, helps us to free the consciousness from its artificial state and bring it into a free state. In fact, this, according to the Bhagavad Gita and the other yogic literatures, for those who are interested, is the source of happiness. We are happy naturally when our consciousness is in its free state. And this is called Brahma Bhuta. And here's a description. It says in the Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. The first symptom of free consciousness that's not detained, it's not being handcuffed and held back, is that it becomes joyful. So prasannatma means we're naturally joyful. It's not something that's created by a circumstance. And joyfulness doesn't come by acquiring a thing. but it's the natural state of our existence is to be joyful. So you could say, if somebody asks you, why are you happy? You could say, for no reason at all. and in the process of self-realization, this would be an accurate answer. Why are you so happy right now? No reason. I just am. So this is what prasanatma means. And then nashochati nakangshati is the second definition of free consciousness, when the conscious is no longer detained by external forces or even internal forces within the mind. And this means that there's no feeling that I have to have something to complete myself. Whatever I have right now is enough. I'm enough. I don't need something because I already am something. And what I am is self-fulfilling. Nothing necessary to add. This is the state of nashochati nakangshati. I don't want anything. I don't have to go to the mall right now. I don't have to go to Amazon Prime to get one more thing and then I'll be happy. I'm actually happy right now. I don't have to move even necessarily because I'm already there. And I'm not worried about what I didn't get in the past or what happened to me in the past because I'm feeling completely whole. So this is the second symptom. And the third is called sarva bhuteshu, that one sees all other living beings to be on an equal level. This kind of equality is something that we naturally are attracted to. When the founders of this country wrote up the Constitution, they mentioned that it's a place where we treat everyone equally. Where did that concept come from? It's metaphysical. Because on a physical level, we all have differences. So you can't say we're equal because somebody can play the piano, other people can't. Some people tall, some people short. It's very hard in a physically measurable way to say I'm equal to someone else. So where does the concept of equality come from? It's metaphysical. It means it's beyond the physical realm. It has to do with our existence beyond the physical realm. And so when someone's in free consciousness, they, in a very real way, see the equality of all living beings. And it's not just humans. Today we talk about racism, which is a product of this identifying with the physical realm and saying, and seeing differences. But there's also speciesism, where I'll say one species is better than another. One should be taken care of. The other one should be perhaps eaten. Where did that idea come from? But a person with freed consciousness sees the difference only on the external level, but sees the equality that every living being is actually a non-physical, non-chemical, non-neural, and non-temporal organizing particle. It's completely different from the physical body. You know, I've been noticing in my garden lately that all the entities out there are actually really smart. I mean, it's amazing how an earthworm has so much intelligence. It has feelings, it has willfulness, it has direction, and they're so determined. I see them early in the morning coming bounding out of the garden onto the garden path, and I'm thinking, oh, where are you going? And what's in your mind right now? And I see the birds around me, little finches, a lot of finches in my yard right now. They like the kale that I'm growing out there. A very healthy diet. They can report back to their medical professional eating kale. And they look at me and, you know, they're looking at me like, you know, who are you? They know. And how it's almost, there's an old saying, you know, people say you're a bird brain, but birds are smart. They know so many things. All these animals, even spiders. I saw a spider on my desk the other day. When I walked in, I looked at him, he looked at me, and he took off in the other direction. There's an equality in all living entities. There is a conscious organizing particle within that physical body. So now the ancient wisdom literatures say that all these bodies have this non-physical organizing particle, but the human body is a portal. It's a special portal. So there's a direction given in the ancient Vedas. The oldest book on the planet is called the Rig Veda. It's thousands of years old. And a summary of the Rig Veda was given after the Vedas because they're very complicated and difficult to learn. So it's called the Vedanta Sutra. And this a sutra is a very pithy statement, and it gives a summary of the concepts of the Vedas, the ancient wisdom literatures. And the first aphorism or sutra says, Atato Brahma Jignasa, which means when you get the human body, it's a portal through which you can fully express your consciousness, and also you can practice a method through which you can free your consciousness from being detained. And so they make this distinction that there's consciousness that's covered, like trees and plants. Plants have awareness. They're aware of their environment. They grow in certain directions. They grab onto things. But they don't have language. It's very contained, like a fire within a pot. It's very hard to see all the symptoms of consciousness. And then you've got consciousness that's contracted, which is, the Vedas say, animals. Much more expression. In a golden retriever, you'll see all kinds of expressions in a dog. And other animals, they miss their young. Elephants are very social. I know a couple elephants personally in India. Their trainer is this woman that's been with them for many years, and I interviewed her for a couple hours when I was there last time in India, and she was just telling me about the psychology of the elephants. They miss her when she's gone. When she comes back, they run to meet her. They get all excited. They don't want her to leave. But animals, even apes, very, they have some vocabulary, but they don't have syntax. A dog doesn't see a city the way we might. We might notice that there was some organizational thought that went into building a city. A dog runs down the street and is not aware of those types of things. Also is not going to do any algebra. But a human being, this is called budding consciousness. It means there's potential in the human apparatus. And potential for what? To free the consciousness. So this aphorism, Atato Brahma Jignasa, means now that you have this portal, the human apparatus, you can use it to free your consciousness that was detained when you were a plant. And of course, when I'm assuming the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and the ancient Vedas say that we're passing through many different life forms. We, as an organizing particle, a non-neural, non-chemical, non-temporal particle that's different from the physical world, is moving through various bodies. And when we come to the human body, we're born, obviously, and we come out and the consciousness starts to develop, then there's full potential to actually free the consciousness and come to this state which is called self-realization. So here are a few concepts more from the Yoga Sutra that have to do with Sankhya, or counting what's in our environment and distinguishing ourselves from our environment. And this is one of the activities of mindfulness and of meditation itself, is to find out what is actually animating my body and who I am. So one of the concepts is that our awareness is eternal. It's perpetual. It's never turned off. It can't be switched off like a light switch. You don't just switch it on and off. It can be covered, but it can't be turned off, and it's never turned off. It's always there. Even denial is an act of consciousness. If you say there's no consciousness, you can make a philosophy, but that's a conscious act. I think, therefore I am. I always exist. I always have existed. This is a basic premise of Sankhya, understanding the organizing particle of consciousness. And therefore, to simplify it, the process then comes to what are our options. And those options are what to be aware of. Where shall we place our awareness? And there's in two broad categories. We can either be object aware or we can become subject aware. So what we call material consciousness or detained consciousness means that I become object aware. I'm looking outside myself into the environment of the vast varieties of the world, and I'm becoming fixated on one object after another as a source of my happiness. I place my awareness there because I feel I have an interest in it. I make a vested interest in a particular object, in a particular life situation. This is object consciousness or object awareness. And this is the normal default state. However, through meditation, through mindfulness, through mantra meditation, one takes a step towards subject awareness, and that is what we just did a moment ago, becoming aware that I'm the one looking out. So what is that? I am the subject. I'm looking out at the objects. And the Yoga Sutra, the Bhagavad Gita both say, Atman yevatmana tushta. When I become aware of myself, and it is possible, yes, that the awareness becomes aware of itself, because that's the power of awareness. Become aware of itself, then I start to feel what's known as tushta, or satisfaction. And that's why we say happiness comes from within, which is cliche. And if I stand on the corner of Geary and what crosses Geary? One of the cross streets in San Francisco, and I interview people and I say, where does happiness come from? I mean, people may give trite answers, but if we gave them an opportunity to say, does it come from outside or from inside? People will mostly say it comes from within. It comes from within oneself. We intuit this, that happiness is within. So the process of yoga, meditation, mantra meditation is how to discover our own awareness and consciousness and be aware of it for ourselves. This is the first step in actual satisfaction and freeing the consciousness from the obligation of being attached to something else that is substandard. The objects that I normally fix my mind on and think that I will be happy by meditating on them, by fixating upon them, are the cause of suffering, actually, because they diminish, they go away in due course of time. In fact, as I'm looking at them, they are falling apart gradually. And this is a cause of great anxiety. And that includes my own physical body. And if I consider that I am my body, and I become invested in it, then it's not a great investment because although we do have to take care of it because it's a gift. But if I think this is everything and this is my main thing and I have to maintain it, it's not possible. And that is a cause of great anxiety. So yogis don't do that because they realize that your car doesn't last forever, and neither does your body, and it wasn't built to last forever. So those are a few basic ideas about detained awareness. And I'll just say one more thing. In a practical way, you might notice the ways in which, by thinking about a particular object in the world, you can become attached to it. And from that attachment, then there's an intensity that I have to have it. And that kind of intensity and endeavor to try to hold on to things and life situations which are constantly moving is a cause of becoming bound up in our consciousness and detained in our consciousness, which is a cause of suffering. So those are a few broad concepts, and let's see if we can get a short conversation going to hear any questions that would illuminate the topic or expand it, or any reflections from anything you heard from the various points I made that might be usable, or that's something that you want to put in your pocket and take with you somewhere.
There is one question on Zoom from Yuri. When the point was being made that we are sufficient itself to be happy, I think the question was, what about love? How can one be happy without a love in their life?
Yeah, and that's a very important point. This is the point of bhakti yoga. There are various types of yoga. And when I mentioned feeling satisfied, I said that it's the first step. And yoga actually means yuj or yukta, to reconnect, to build a bridge to my highest self-interest, which is, according to the yogic process, to be aware and connected with the source of myself. So I don't exist in isolation, but I'm part of a complete whole. And when I become aware of the complete whole and its characteristics, then the first feeling is gratitude, because I'm being maintained. People love nature for various reasons, but one of them is to notice the IQ in nature. I mean, it's fascinating to go out and watch Nature's IQ, and there's volumes written about Nature's IQ. In fact, there's a movie called Nature's IQ, and it's endlessly interesting. And then one can actually start to develop a kind of gratitude. For instance, in gardening, I'm just fascinated by the fact that from a little seed with some tender, loving care, then grows a plant. I'm getting my first zucchini is coming out. And within that zucchini is the capability to grow 1,000 more zucchinis. Where did that come from? If I start to go towards gratitude, then that is the first step towards that connection with the fact that there's some benevolent intelligence behind the design. And this is the first step towards this even higher connection of my awareness through gratitude, and then making that bridge to love. And yes, that is, according to Bhakti, the highest emotion. It's the most complete and desirable emotion. Thank you, Yuri.
We have some more reflection on Zoom from Jasmine regarding gardens and the oneness. I totally get it. I am Zen, at peace in my gardens, even in 113 degree Fahrenheit in Arizona.
Oh, in Arizona. I wonder what you're growing out there. I'd love to hear about it. This year I decided to start everything from seeds so I could watch the whole process, growing up. And it's definitely, I agree with you, it's a very meditative process. In fact, it's mentioned in some of the yogic literatures that being connected with the earth and growing things is very important for a holistic development of consciousness. What else?
Yeah, we do have Zach and Khalil. They all are referring to same thing, that like how nature, connecting with nature gives happiness. We have Wolf Sanderson asking the question, what is the logic behind eliminating data retention from the previous lives?
Oh, well, that's actually. I'm glad you used that terminology because it's easier for all of us moderns to appreciate. And that we do have a lot of data. When you switch over your software and all the information on it from one hard drive to another, it all goes over. And this is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that when we change from one gross physical body, we take our subtle body with us in the same way that we take the software. And the impressions are still there. Any of the viruses that were there, that is software viruses, they'll be retained. So these are called vrittis or samskars. Every impression that comes through our mental, through our senses into our mind, leaves an impression. And those impressions are embedded there within our consciousness. So one of the ways in which that is amended is through a higher kind of vritti or a higher impression. And that is impressions that have a different resonance. And they tend to overwrite the lower impressions and leave an impression which is favorable for freeing our consciousness and bringing it to its original state. So one of those, the main processes for this is mantra. You'll find this everywhere throughout the teachings of yoga and all the different philosophies of the East, that mantra is extremely important. It's a kind of technology because it's a sound vibration that overwrites the lower impressions we've put into our chitta or our overall consciousness, which is like a unlimited cloud. It's the cloud that has everything in it, so it needs to be overwritten. So that's why mantra meditation is very important. Let's see if anybody has anything they want to do live on in the Zoom room, because it's good to hear voices too. If you like, if you want to make a comment there too, it's okay. Anyone?
You can type in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask a question or share reflections.
Yeah, reflection just means anything that you heard that kind of sounded interesting or you think it's worth repeating back, retweeting back at us. You want to retweet anything, just say back anything that you heard so far.
You mentioned yogis not really needing to take care of their body, but I get joy from going out on a long walk or a short run, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was saying the opposite. The yogis do take care of their bodies. If I did say that, I misspoke, because it's very, very important to take care of the body. The body is it's not just a machine. It's like it's a temple. It's important. And one of the tenets of yoga is that one should maintain the body in a very healthy state, because we need it. It's a portal. So it has utility. It shouldn't be neglected. The verse in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Yukta hara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu yukta swapna vabodasya yogo bhavati dukkha, which means that you should be balanced in all the activities of your life. Recreating, you need to recreate your body. You need to give yourself space, so you're not just jamming all the time. You have to eat the right foods, because you are what you eat, not just in body but also mind. It also mentions sleep. You have to get enough sleep. And in our 21-day spiritual fitness challenge that a lot of people are taking right now, we include body. So take care of your body, walking. So I agree with you, BJ. It's really important to take care of the body. It's our vehicle, so you can't just neglect it. Sorry if I misspoke on that. Is that okay?
Uh,
Okay. Thank you. What other reflections do you all have? Anything you heard or a question you want to ask?
This is Jasmine.
Hi, Jen.
And hi, and just playing off of what I think it was BJ. I I had noted don't invest in the body lasting forever. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where
Yeah.
maybe.
Right. Yeah, that's true. If I have an idea that I'm going to invest everything in the body because it's going to last forever, I mean, I'm turning 64 this year. I can guarantee you it's not a great investment. It's not going to last. Yeah, it's just the fact that the body has a shelf life, and this is something that's immediately admitted in the yogic literatures that as soon as you're born, there's a guaranteed time that you're going to leave. Well, actually, no guaranteed time, but there is an end, and it's pretty brief. 100 years is not that long if you make it that long. So it's realistic. There are ideas that somehow or other I'll keep the body going forever. The yogic literatures don't subscribe to that idea. They say that who you are, is never going to diminish at all. But the body itself it's just like a car. It has, no matter how nice it is with that new car smell when you get it, it's going to degrade over time.
And
So
Okay, thank you.
yes,
can I add to that conversation?
please do, Lori.
I took the original words to be more of an emotional investment. And so for those of us that are too caught up in our physical form, that it's an error to invest so completely. If your body is everything to you, then that's not the right amount of energy to put towards it.
Yes, thank you for restating that in a way that's even more practical. I mean, really, the statement is Asango Hyayam Purusha, you're not your body. And we're just a temporary resident within the body. And so, let's just say you lease a house or an apartment, and you're going to be there for 3 months. You don't start, you don't remodel everything in the house, and you don't landscape the whole yard and things like that, unless you need to for a specific purpose. But my point is that you don't want to put a huge investment. You need it for a particular purpose. This is what the aphorism Atato Brahma Jignasa means, that you have this as a portal, and it's there for a purpose. It's called anityam. Nityam means it lasts forever, and means not. So anityam means it doesn't last forever. But if you can take something that doesn't last forever, but you can utilize it so that you can transcend it to a position where you rise above the temporary world, this is called the smartest investment of all times. And that's the recommendation, that you use it for the higher purpose. Nice reflections. Anybody else? Yeah, whatever you heard and like bounced around in your mind is really valuable to put back into the circle. It really helps.
I can share something.
Yes, please.
This is Evan here. My mother has always said to me, she's one of my heroes in my life, and she's always said to me, she said a lot of different things, but she's always said to me, everything in moderation. And it really struck a chord with me when you said you should be balanced in all activities of your life, because I could not agree with you more. Our diet should be balanced along with our sleep, with our work, with our exercise, with our family time, because if you do too much of one or the other, you're not going to be in a good state, right? If you work too much, you might be working to make a living, but what about your family? What about your health?
Yeah.
So if you're just focused on your diet all the time, are you going to be able to spend time with your family? Is it healthy for your mind to do that? So that really struck a chord with me. So thank you for that.
It's really practical and important what you just said. And it's really true that the yukta, in fact, the verse that I quoted from the Bhagavad Gita in the Sanskrit, it mentions the word yukta, which means balanced. And at the end, it says dukkha. If you balance everything like that, then dukkha means misery or suffering, and ha means to take away. So it takes away your suffering to live in that balanced state. So yeah, that is a yogic principle, and there's nothing impractical in the yogic teachings that you should artificially give up things, because the world's not false; it's just temporary. So, and it's not ours to give up. It's like if I walk in the Bank of America and I say I renounce all the money in this bank, people think I'm a lunatic because it's not my money. So it's not my world, and they're not my things. If they were my things, I'd get to keep them. But I've been given, possession of certain things to utilize for a higher purpose. And so if I think about it like that, being responsible in how I use the energies that I've been given, then this is how we can be most, think about a platform for being balanced. Thanks for bringing that up, and nice to hear from your mom. So much wisdom comes from the mothers of the world, I must say. If I'd only listened to my mom. Yes, and there's a couple more in the chat box. The soul retains the memory of the life it got attached into the body during its lifetime. So there's when we change from one physical body to the next, we take what's called our subtle material body with us. And when I say us, I'm talking about what I defined before as a non-neural, non-temporal, non-chemical organizing particle of consciousness, which is different from matter. And that includes subtle matter and gross matter. So the subtle body is the mind, the intellect, and the ego. This is the definition given in the Bhagavad Gita and the Yoga Sutras. And so when I leave one physical gross body, like this body here is, half Czech and half Canadian, and it's a temporary thing. And once I leave this, I take with me that subtle body, whatever body I get in the law of transmigration comes with me. And it's not that I remember everything specifically from my previous lives, although that is possible, and it does happen. Even in non-yogic trances, it happens. In fact, at the University of Virginia, there's a department that specifically studies this phenomena, and there are several academic books published by the chairs of that department. There have been 2 generations. It was funded by a wealthy philanthropist who wanted to know more about this idea of reincarnation. And one of the phenomena, which gives an idea of the empiric evidence for this, is that children at a certain age start to remember their previous lives. Now you might say, well, that's just suggestive, or they're making it up or whatever. But I'm talking about scientific studies, and the department goes out of its way to make sure that there's very clear empiric evidence that the child did remember. So child remembers previous life in a certain place and all the details of that in a certain time. There's a window in which some children remember that, and then they'll go and investigate and match up all the various parts and say, well, we can't deny that there's empiric evidence that he or she remembered a past life. So this is, according to the Bhagavad Gita, the context that we are moving from one physical body to the next. Yes, Rashmi said, "Moms rock." That's good. Okay. So a few last comments, just about potential. We have more potential in our free state of consciousness that we're not realizing. And this is what's brought out through the process of practice, which brings us to freeing the consciousness from its detained states or being attached to the objects of the world in inordinate ways. And when we do that, our actual potential comes out. One of the concepts I like to keep in mind, in fact, I named my website after this, Fan the Spark. There's a way in which when we find some potential in ourselves or in others, fan it. Fan that potential, that is that impetus to expand awareness, to expand consciousness. This impetus, according to the ancient yoga literatures, should be encouraged everywhere, because when it is given an environment through which it can grow, then we start to realize our highest ideals in life, and we feel naturally satisfied and happy. One of the ways to do that is to practice mantra meditation. And the mantra meditation brings in sound vibration that is of a higher quality, and it resonates with that non-neural, non-chemical, non-temporal organizing particle that is ourselves, and allows us to break free from the inordinate attachments that we might have to objects that are not worthy of our attention. So there are a lot of different objects that I might fixate upon and also become attached to unnecessarily, which cause me misery. And I might even know they're causing me misery, but I can't let them go. Does that sound familiar to anybody, I hope? You don't have to name exactly what it is, but at least if you say you've experienced something like that, I'd deeply appreciate it. Anyone? Like a bad habit you picked up and then you thought, I shouldn't do this, but you can't stop?
Yes.
Who said yes?
Me.
Well, you're off. Your mic's off, so somebody else has to verify. Also, we need a quorum here. So, anyone familiar? Just say yes.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Okay, good.
Yes.
So the mantra meditation is a kind of mystical trance. It's a vibration through which, like a solvent, which you get something on you, you can't get out. You look up on the internet and it says, you need some club soda, and I don't know what else you put into things to get stuff off, but it might tell you club soda and something else. Here's the formula, and then you put it on, and the stuff comes out miraculously. You thought it was there forever, right? Or one of those. I don't know what's in them, but there's a laundry pen. If you spill something on your nice white shirt, you use a laundry pen, and somehow or other the enzymes in there that takes out the stain. So our consciousness gets stained, and the mantra is a kind of solvent that through the vibration that resonates with a higher stratum, it actually takes that particular sticky substance that's holding up my consciousness, and it frees it. So that's why the word is man, which means mind, and tra, which means to unstick. So if you want to unstick your mind and get it free from detention, get the handcuffs off your mind, the mantra is there to help you, coming from the outside, to intervene and take off the restraints so your mind can be free. And that's when you'll experience the happiness that you're looking for, according to the ancient Vedas. Does that make sense? Okay, there's a button at the bottom of your screen that says reactions. And if you open it up, there's a thumbs up or a clapping. So let me know what you think. If it makes sense, then we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. That means we can try the mantra. So we have a few minutes left. And yes, please. Yes.
Can I make another comment? Sorry for interrupting.
You insist.
I really like what you said about fan your potential. I was at a talk recently with a guy called Lex Gillette, who's a Paralympic champion. He's a long jumper, and he talked about trusting yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, what possibilities are you wasting, and what are you eliminating from your life? So that, fanning your potential, I think, is along the same lines, that you owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself, right?
Yes, and that was the premise, or at least the beginning of my talk, is that when we're pursuing that, when we're looking towards our highest potential, we study the science and say, what does it mean to reach higher potentials? And then when we're convinced that here are some steps to take, and we're actually taking the steps, even though imperfectly, even though it's a struggle, I know I'm taking them, that's when I feel satisfaction, because I know I'm going in the right direction. So that's why, any practice is to be verified. Is this actually the practice? Like, before I ordered seeds for my garden this time, I did a lot of research of where to get the best seeds. Which company is the most noted for their purity of seeds, that they take care of them, that they stand behind them. And I got 90 packages of seeds. And I had so much faith in those seeds because I did the research myself. And lo and behold, they're powerful. The ones that are coming out, all the different kinds of vegetables and flowers that I ordered are coming out really strong. They come from a really good line. So when you can get clear on what are the steps to take, then start taking them, then there's a kind of satisfaction that we naturally feel because we're going towards our potential. And yes, fanning the spark. When we see it, that impetus, go for it. Because that's what we can do as humans.
Yeah, I'll just share real quick. I play the guitar and I sing, and I haven't been doing it for years, but because of the quarantine we're in, I've started doing it again recently, and I'm absolutely loving it. And
oh, nice.
It kind of was eating away at me while I wasn't doing it, and now it's like a polar opposite, right? I'm in heaven that I'm doing it again,
Nice. Lori's giving you a hands clapping there. Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. It's very inspiring. Okay, so let's do a little mantra to finish off today. And also later on, if anybody wants to try the 21-day fitness challenge, then you can connect up. JM will leave you a link in the chat box where you can go check that out. And now let's just look at a couple of slides of mantras. These mantras are seeds. They come from antiquity. They've been passed down through teachers over many, many generations, and there are volumes written about them. There's a science behind mantra. You might say, well, it's just a few words or a phrase, but actually a seed looks insignificant also. Some of the seeds I'm planting out there, I'm just surprised about what comes out when I add the water. So the first mantra is Nitai Gauranga. It's phonetically spelled, but these are names of two avatars who descend in order to open us to the practice of self-realization. And they clear the way. And by repeating the mantra, Nitai Gauranga, you'll notice an expansion of consciousness. So let's just try it together behind muted mics. I'll say it, and if you want to follow my pace, I'm going to be doing it to breath, so I'm going a little bit slow. Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga. So I recommend when you do your mantra meditation, you can start off with this mantra. And the next mantra is called the Maha Mantra. This is a mantra that you'll notice is very mystical. When you begin practicing this mantra, what will happen inevitably, if you put a little bit of consistency in your practice, is that you'll start hearing it as being very interesting. It will sound interesting, and then it'll move from being interesting to captivating. And from captivating, you'll start noticing that there are gifts coming out of the mantra into your consciousness that you couldn't have imagined before. So these gifts emanate from the mantra when you give it your attention. So I'll say the mantra, and you can follow with me behind muted mics. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I recommend these two mantras, and on the 21-day fitness challenge, you can obtain these mantras on in a printed way, I believe, and then if you want to try them out in the morning for your practice, along with some of the other spiritual fitness techniques, you can try those and experiment on yourself. You are a laboratory, and you can experiment. And the main experiment that takes place here is in consciousness, and these are tried and true practices for reorganizing, not just reorganizing the mind, but for actually breaking through into a higher dimension of consciousness and freeing the mind. So try it out. Now let's just see if there's any last comments, if anybody wants to give any parting words or advice to all of us before we head off into the big wide world out there and fend for ourselves. What do you have to tell us? Or what would you like to reflect from today's discussion? Or if you just want to say, hey, just come off mute and say, hey.
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank you. You brought so much
your
today
time.
From your demeanor and from everything you said. It was really appreciated. Please come back. We'd love to have you more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to say hey?
Hey, Vaish.
Hey.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you,
Thank
Josh.
you.
Hey, great. Thanks for being there.
Appreciate it.
Great. Yeah. Somehow or other, we've kept going all the way from being at Salesforce together and then all these meetings, it's been months that we've been together since.
Really appreciate you doing this every week.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's keeping me alive too. Thank you, Josh. Anyone else want to say hey?
Hi, just wanted to say thanks for the inspiring session.
Oh, thank you, Rashmi. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you.
I want to say thank you. It's been kind of a rough week with everything in the news. This was a nice place to put my mind.
Oh,
now.
great, BJ. That's one of my great hopes, that it's a kind of a place, it's an oasis, a consciousness oasis. So great to hear it. Thank you. You added a lot. Anyone else?
This is Rajan. So for the past 2 weeks, I was so stressed, and I was able to make the session today, and I'm so relieved. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Rajan. Great to hear your voice and that you got something from it. Okay, well, I do recommend do it on your own. By one of the parameters is that you can follow the 21-day fitness challenge, that JM will give you on the side. There he is to everyone that's on the chat box. You can just go there and check it out. You don't have to do the whole thing. You don't have to fill in every blank, but it's there to give you some guidance. And once you have it, human beings, once they see a ladder, they want to climb it. So you got to put the ladder up. And this is just built with a few rungs so that you can have something to look at and climb if you like. And come on back next week and tell us what happened. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks, JM, for making this all possible and keeping all the mechanics going so that we can all meet here. We deeply appreciate it. Bravo to you. Here, I'm going to put my clapping hands up here. And thank you, everybody. We'll see you again next week.
See you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.